Police identifying the gunman behind a deadly shooting at an Indianapolis FedEx facility as 19-year-old Brandon Hull. He was a former FedEx employee. Police say they had responded to his home last year after reports of a man voicing suicidal thoughts, which he repeated to responding officers who confiscated a gun, a shotgun at the time. And Hull is accused of killing 8 people in Thursday's shooting rampage before killing himself. Let's bring in Ted Williams now. He's a defense attorney, a former Washington, D.C. homicide detective, and a Fox News contributor. And Ted, I want to begin with how. You know, the 19-year-old with known mental health issues, yet he was able to buy another gun, show up to his former job, and kill 8 people. I mean, how are all of those dots unable to be connected to circumvent yet another mass murder? And how do you fix this deadly loophole?
Well, hi, Arthel. Doesn't it sound or appear to be Groundhog Day? You and Eric and myself for years have covered these mass shootings. A few weeks ago, I was on with you with the Atlanta mass shooting, and here we are now again with another mass shooting. I got to tell you, everything that we've been able to learn about Brandon Hull leads me to believe that he did, in fact, suffer from some mental infirmity. Last year, his mother called, as you said, law enforcement to report him. He was, in fact, put into a mental institution for a period of time and let go. And the big question that we need to answer in America, and we don't have the answer for, is how in the hell does a mentally infirm person get a hold to a gun and to be able to go into like a FedEx area and shoot and kill 8 people? That is the big question. The law enforcement are still at this stage, from what all indications, trying to find out what was the motive in this one, Arthel.
I mean, and even his own mother alerted the police that my son might commit suicide by cop. And then, of course, you know that I don't want to linger on this part too much, but I don't want to overlook it, that 4 of the victims were members of the Indianapolis Sikh community. So I am not sure if there is a connection there, if it's calculated, or if that was coincidental. I know you don't know the motive behind that, but if you want to chime in on that momentarily, Ted, go ahead.
Well, just quickly, I'm sure that they are doing a footprint scrub, or they're looking at his computers and they're trying to make a determination of what that motive would have been. And was there a connection with the Sikh community?
Yeah, and meanwhile, the nation is also grappling with other tragedies. You got in Chicago, during a foot pursuit, an officer shot and killed a 13-year-old boy, Adam Toledo, who, according to police reports, had just tossed a gun before complying to the officer's command, and then he turned around with his empty hands in the air. And in Minnesota, you've got the Brooklyn Center ex-police officer, Kim Potter. She made her first virtual court appearance Thursday in the fatal shooting of 20-year-old Dante Wright during a traffic stop. And Potter was a 26-year police veteran. All of this, Ted, is taking place in the midst of the trial for Derek Chauvin. He's the former Minneapolis officer charged with killing Mr. George Floyd. What do you make of this?
Well, it's a very difficult time in the history of our country. I can tell you, I've looked into the Chicago matter where you have the officer, Eric Stillman, who chased down this kid. And I got to tell you, police officers have to make split-second decisions. And he made a split-second decision because at the time you see on the video that the kid throws the gun down and turn around, it's within seconds, and the officer unfortunately shot him. I find that the officer acted right and properly under the circumstances in which he was faced. And we need to ask the one question: what is a 13-year-old kid doing out at 2:30 in the morning with a 20-year-old and supposedly, allegedly, to be a part of a gang? You also mentioned, Arthel, the situation with Dante Wright, there in Brooklyn Center, where Kim Potter is facing second-degree murder charges. Well, I think that they did the right and proper thing in charging her. This is a 26-year veteran. This was not a rookie. This 26-year veteran knew that on her non-dominant side is where her taser was. Her gun was on the dominant side of her body. She pulled the gun. She shot this kid. She's charged. There is a good possibility that these charges may also be elevated as part of this investigation.
Finally, Ted, in our last 30 seconds here, I mean, how do you get people to see the human tragedy that's at the base of this, not merely a sterile, detached gun control conversation?
Although we are so divided, Democrats, Republicans, and let's just be candid here. A bullet doesn't have a Democrat or Republican on it. We need to come together. We got to get together. Yes, we can protect the Second Amendment, and we should protect the Second Amendment. But we also need to know that there are people with mental illnesses and guns kill, and we need to come together. And that's unfortunate because we're still a divided country. And we should not be when it comes to protection of the citizens of this country.
We should not be divided on so many issues that we're divided on, unfortunately, man. Wish we could fix that. Ted Williams, we'll keep trying our best to report the facts and so people can analyze. And really, guys, we're all humans. That's the point. Ted, thank you. And before we go, we want to take a moment to remember the victims of the FedEx shooting. I'll do my best to pronounce the names correctly. 66-year-old Amarjeet Kaur Johal, 19-year-old Carly Smith, 32-year-old Matthew R. Alexander, 19-year-old Samaria Blackwell, 64-year-old Jaswinder Kaur, 68-year-old Jaswinder Singh, 48-year-old Amarjeet Sekhan, and 74-year-old John Weissert.